Hello to everybody. I am here with Ken Buckle, who will be telling us a very poignant story of why he is advocating for the Korean War veterans and so that they're not forgotten.
Thank you. This is my wife, Melinda, and we have a nonprofit called Remembering America's Heroes, Veterans, which high school teenagers name because I'm a retired high school teacher and a coach. But my father was a Marine who served in the Korean War at the withdrawal of the Chosin Reservoir. And growing up, I always thought something was off about him, and I was the oldest and couldn't wait to get out. And come to find out, decades later, he took his life when he was 54 years old, and it just literally destroyed my mother. 3 years later, she was dead, just gave up the will to live. And then we started learning about post-traumatic stress, and that's a fallacy. You know, they say, oh, the World War II vets, Korean vets didn't have post-traumatic, they just came back, got jobs. No, they didn't. They had issues too. When you experience combat, you're changed forever. And so I started a program at Milwaukee High School where we brought veterans in of all the wars and conflicts, including back then, we had 4 World War I veterans who are, of course, long gone now. But and they would come and talk to the high schools, and we would do a show where we recreate a Bob Hope USO show, and we'd thank them, we'd feed them lunch, and it was just an amazing experience. We've done it at over 40 high schools. This is our 23rd year. But what's amazing is that before I started this, the administration said, you've got to sell this to the teachers. And I said, okay, I'm going to have a survey. And I said, the number one question was, what is a veteran? The number one answer for the students in this survey in 1995 is they take care of dogs and cats. And what is Veterans Day to you? The number one answer was a day to sleep in. And who are your heroes? The number one answer was pro athletes and movie stars and rap stars and rock stars. And after doing this program, it completely switched to where now veterans were heroes. Thus, that's when we came, okay, we're going to create a nonprofit. What do we call it? The teenage girls said, Remembering America's Heroes, Veterans. So that's what that. Wait. But I was not prepared for the ripple effect of this program, in that so many Korean War veterans and World War II veterans, because of the result of talking about stuff for the first time, they never told their spouses or their kids or grandkids, they started to get counseling. And I know several that we saved their lives. They've told this to me. I was suicidal. Couples tried to commit suicide, but then we got them to our events, and many of them have said, if I hadn't gotten counseling, I would have done the same thing. Don't be, angry at your dad. He just... like the Chosen Few, they formed in 1986, and they said, Josh, if your dad would have hung on for 2 more years, we could have saved him, because many of them said this organization saved my life. In fact, Bill Chisholm, they had a coffee club in the late 80s and early 90s. About twice a week, one of them would call in the middle of the night and say, I'm having bad nightmares. They would meet at a Denny's and have coffee and talk it out. And I said, you guys did what? And he said, we did this for years, a couple times a week, 2 or 3 in the morning. And so like you're learning, and what my wife has learned, is that they're the veterans of all the eras are amazing, wonderful group of people. They're a different breed, and we're so lucky and blessed to get to know all these people, and now you too. And we have our big event in November. It's huge, and if you guys can get to it,
yes,
we'll take care of your lodging and meals. Okay, so I'll be contacting you on it.
Okay, Melinda.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your uncle and
my uncle was
figure.
William Ellington, and he was a father figure. I called him Daddy since I was like 2. And I found out later on he wasn't my dad, but I continued to call him Daddy because he had taken that role for me. And about 16, he gave me his pen when he was in the war and sat me down and talked to me about the Korean War, and he was serving during that time. And no one in my family has ever talked about it. I've learned more about it here since I've been in Portland. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, but I've learned a whole lot, and I've been here over almost 30 years. So.
And it's amazing that what you and Ken are doing. And Ken, again, like I saw that despite the fact that your father has committed, took his own life as a result of such painful experience from the war, you made something really beautiful out of it. And I was so inspired by that, because you could have been bitter about it, but you said, you know what? I'm going to do something about it.
I want to tell you something that I just remembered and wanted to include in this. I did have those feelings. And I felt like, because the people, like you said, the forgotten war, people don't know, they don't care. And I said, my gosh, we go to these countries and some of us, they hate us. They hate us, like they say, there's French that hate us. They're blah, 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 like our boys sacrificed their blood over there. And then when I went to the Revisit Korea tour, because they opened it was for the Korean veterans, but because they're all dying, they opened it up to the children. So we got to go, and everywhere we went, thank you for your father. Thank you for your father. And we got a plaque, we got a medal, we got all these awards and honors. And I was so embarrassed. I was saying I was born in 1954, but it was for me, it was so healing.
Yes.
It was so healing. I said, my dad, it wasn't, even though he's a tragic casualty of the Korean War, it's not in vain. And to see that beautiful city of Seoul and those people, and it feels good. And I know my dad's up there helping with all this.
He's over there, right?
He's over there.
He's over there.
Yes. So thank you so much again, Ken, for not only your father's service, but for what you're doing to help America remember our heroes. And I am actually extremely honored because Mr. Frank Buckle, who was the last remaining World War I veteran in the United States.
Yeah, Frank Buckles. He's from Charlestown, West Virginia. It was just about an hour from D.C. Mm-hmm. Not only that, he lied about his age at 15 to get in, but not only that, he was in Manila as a civilian and joined the Filipino guerrillas and got captured and was in a Japanese prisoner of war camp for 3.5 years.
And how are you related to him?
He's actually a distant cousin, but he always said, please call me Uncle Frank. Yeah. And we got real close. I went back every year thinking, okay, he's 100 now. I got to go back. He might die next year. He lived to be 110. We went back about 12 years in a row. And in fact, I told him that if you guys ever want to go out and see his farm, it was built in 1750, and there's a museum in his room, and his daughter lives there, and she would love to see it.
Yes.
So I can set it up for you, Susanna Buckles.
So thank you so much again.
All right.
And thank you so much, Melinda, for your time and just your heart.
Oh, thank you. Same for you.